Have you ever felt completely and totally spent? Not just tired, but bone-deep weary, like the pilot light of your soul has gone out. It can happen to anyone, and it even happened to one of the most powerful prophets in the Bible. This is the story of how even a strong believer got tired. His name was Elijah. He had just won a massive victory on Mount Carmel, calling down fire from heaven and proving his God was real. But this victory came at a price, because it was a direct challenge to the most powerful person in the kingdom, not the king, but his wife, Queen Jezebel. Jezebel was the one who had brought the worship of Baal to Israel. These were her prophets Elijah had defeated. For her, this wasn't just a religious debate, it was a personal and political humiliation. When she heard the news, her rage was absolute. This wasn't just anger. It was the fury of a monarch whose authority had been defeated. She sent a messenger to Elijah with a chillingly personal vow. May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them. This wasn't an idle threat. It was a royal death sentence. The hero of Mount Carmel broke. The man who stood against hundreds was now fleeing from one woman. But what a woman she was! He ran for his life, leaving everything behind. He ran until he couldn't run anymore, deep into the wilderness. The fear of Jezebel was so total, it overshadowed the memory of the fire from heaven. He collapsed under a tree and prayed a prayer that might shock you. He said, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life." He was burned out, depressed, and convinced that Jezebel's power was the final word. But God's response wasn't a lecture. It was gentle, practical care. An angel appeared with bread and water. "Get up and eat," the angel said, "for the journey is too much for you." God knew the terror Elijah was feeling was real. He didn't demand more strength. He provided it. Sustained. Elijah traveled for 40 days to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. He hid in a cave, still reeling, and God's power was put on full display. The mighty wind shattered the rocks, but God wasn't in the wind. Then an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Then a fire, but God wasn't in the fire. And after all the noise, there was a gentle whisper, and that still, small voice. God asked him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Then Elijah poured out his heart, confessing his fear of the queen. "I have been very zealous for the Lord. But they are seeking my life to take it away." He admitted that Jezebel's threat had driven him there. In that quiet moment, God met Elijah's fear, not with power to crush Jezebel, but with a plan. He gave Elijah a new mission, a quiet purpose, and the assurance that he was not alone. The answer to the queen's loud threat wasn't a louder shout, but a whisper of renewed hope. Thanks for watching, and watch out for the next episode. Subscribe and share.